How are you there? 4th of July 2023. These days I am listening to the speeches by my chef Wezano. Okay, we've gone through ED, we've gone through Chris and Twango. Now I did listen to Constantine, I think so. Or Contestine Chiwenga, uh, the vice president. He spoke in Shona. His speech was, I don't know where he was. It was okay. It was fairly typical ZANU-PF speech, the old story of Tarura Nyika. I don't know if when they die, who's going to take over the country, because, I mean, that's our point. Everybody who went to the war is going to die. So, what would be the criteria going forward? Does it mean that you need to say, my father fought the war? Okay, perhaps, we don't know. But there's something important that I want to speak about in this video that he said. He revealed something which I do not think that he intended to reveal. When he was speaking about the city of Harare asking the residents to pay in US dollars. So the city of Harare had given a directive to the people or to the ratepayers of Harare not to pay in Zim dollars, but in US dollars. Well, Chiwenga said that the government is not going to allow the city of Harare to do that. And then he says the reason is because US dollar, I can't remember the actual word that he used. I'm trying to say it in the actual words that he used, but I cannot seem to remember how he really put it. But the sense is the same. That he says, well, you don't print the US dollar, but you can print the Zim dollar. He asked the mayor of Harare, saying, where are you going to get the US dollar, because you don't print it? However, at least the Zim dollar you print it. Okay. He spoke something like that along those lines, but he said it in short. It began to reveal to me his attitude towards money printing. There's no anything explicit that he said, but it got me to see how he thinks about monetary policy or fiscal policy in his mind. That the government is indeed printing itself out of debt, and it is paying wages and other obligations through money that they print into existence because it is theirs. Now, that's why that's part of the reason why we have got inflation in the system. Excuse me, is because the government is printing money. All right, excessive amounts of money. Besides, also the speculators that I spoke about, they are also involved in money printing. So all of that combined together is a bomb. Now, another thing that is really revealing is if a city like the city of Harare, which is part of government, remember, local government is actually part of government. It is government, but local, but government still nonetheless. If government is not, if the government does not want to take its own currency, what that means is that the government is sending a message out there that it is giving a vote of no confidence in its own currency. Don't worry that the mayor of Harare is triple C. That means nothing. It's government. Oksalayo, normal is triple C, normal is triple D or whatever, but he is a government person. And the city of Harare is part of government. Okay. So as part of government, the currency, the Zim dollar, is issued by government. So you would expect that the one who issued the currency would have confidence in his own currency. So when the city of Harare, which is government, notwithstanding which political party the people in the city of Harare are from, but they are serving the government, right? If they have got if they lack confidence in their own currency, which them as government are issuing out, then it is a telling, the big sign of what is happening within government, that this government is falling apart. Don't know what that is. Triple C, it means absolutely nothing. Okay, the guy doesn't. The job is not for Triple C. The job is a government job. That's the point I'm saying. It doesn't matter, but because some people say, well, he is Triple C, it means nothing. He's a government. The government is refusing to take its own currency. All right. So when Chiwenga reverses that decision, okay, because for Chiwenga it's a political decision. He doesn't want part of government to give this impression that government is also losing confidence in its own currency. Because remember, any government's worth is in its currency, and the strength of any currency is the measure of any government that issues it out. So if you issue a currency, it means that we have got governance ability to govern the financials of the nation. Government or governance has got different departments. One of it is law giving and the ability to enforce that law. So the Zimbabwean government doesn't have a problem with giving law and also enforcing that law. All right. But another part of governance is issuing currency and being able to manage that currency. Our government can issue currency, but it is failing to manage that currency. And that part is what Chiwenko was trying to protect the exposure, or I'm sorry, the expose that actually the government is failing to manage its own currency. So as everybody else in the business field is repudiating the Zimbabwean dollar in favor of foreign currency, the government is just holding to dear life, trying to protect the relevance of a currency which the broader market is quickly losing confidence in. So Chiwenga there is managing perceptions and sticking with a plan which is obviously not working. Okay, the Zimbabwean dollar is losing its value. If the government does not close its taps on money printing, it can go to a hyperinflation to get to a point where they will completely abandon the currency themselves. I wouldn't be surprised if the finance guys in Harare have got that in mind. I am sure they are printing money excessively and hoarding a foreign currency with the hope and probably even the intention of eventually dumping that Zimbabwean currency in favor of perhaps a US dollar, but for a short while. And then they'll go back to the same dollar and do the same thing over and over again. You see that this is actually a cycle. You know, I don't know if people in Zimbabwe understand how monetarism works, how money functions, how this inflation in Zimbabwe is actually deliberately manufactured. People do. I've never. People talk about the politics. The guys who speak about politics in their political discourse. I've never seen them really engaging as an OPF on the issue of currency devaluation. The strange thing about all this thing is that things that I talk about on this channel, very pertinent things, nobody talks about. I'm really surprised. I had a video, I had a series from part one, part six, that was exposing the British Foreign Office. That is the reason why Zimbabwe is where it is. I thought that was a big revelation that God gave me. Seriously. That is the of all the videos, I've got over 800 videos. All of them, we can delete them. But the ones that I posted with part 1 to part 6, talking about how the British office, Foreign Office, has been the one that is causing Zimbabwe to suffer until today, is the most important of all my videos. I don't care about the 790 ones, but those ones are the important ones. Especially the second one, which is the present, it's only got one view. But it's actually the most important of all the videos I've ever made. For me, if you have to ask me which one is the most important, not which one is your favorite. It's not my favorite. No. It's the most important. It's a prophetic there on that video, which is important for every Zimbabwean to learn, and it's very shocking. It's a prophetic that that will make sense even 100 years from now, even 1,000 years from now. But only one view. And then I have realized that even the important thing like currency, currency manipulation, this devaluation of the Zimbabwean currency. Since the 2005, 7, 8, that was deliberate. Then we went to the US dollar, and then we came back again. It's deliberate. But nobody really speaks about how our private wealth as Zimbabweans is deliberately stolen or siphoned out by the few, the elite in Harare. Now that's the most egregious crime that Harare has done to the Zimbabweans. But nobody talks about it. And when they talk about it, they talk about it in passing, and then they just move on to election violence, rigging. Yeah, violence is bad, rigging is bad, putting people in jail is bad. But the worst of them all is what they're doing to the currency and how they are stealing the wealth of everybody. Come to think of the people that contributed to pensions in Zimbabwe. Let's say you've been working your whole life, from maybe you're a teacher, or you're a doctor or a nurse, from the time you were 20 years, 30, 40, 50, 60, contributing into the pension fund. And all of a sudden, the pension fund's equity loses value because of devaluation. Imagine you were being paid perhaps $1,000 a month, okay, from your pension fund, and and perhaps $1,000 a month by that time you were being paid was worth 1,000 US dollars, but because of currency devaluation, it will be worth like $2 or $1 a month. That's what is happening. To understand, and all sort of people, their wealth, their values have been stolen that way. So you must understand something that currency trading. I'm sorry, guys, I'm stammering. All right, I'm a natural stammer. I wish I spoke perfectly. Perhaps that's the reason why some people don't follow this channel so much, because I stammer. I cannot help it. I wish I spoke like all of you. I wish I could just speak, proper English, seamless, like without any blockage, but I can't. It's just a natural thing. It's a physical disability that I have to deal with it my whole life. And you too, as a listener, you will have to deal with it. There's nothing I can't do about it. I've got a speech impediment, but bear with me. What I'm saying is that wonke umuntu untshontshelwe imali ngokuthi i-currency iyaluza ivalue izwamtshose. Yabo, le nto bayenza ngamasibomo. It's not like the economists in Harare like, we do not know how that dollar is losing value. No, they know. They plan it. You understand? They plan it themselves deliberately for these purposes of siphoning wealth from everybody else and piling it to themselves. They are very clever. If I had time one day, I will explain. But these days, I don't have time to spend 2 hours explaining something which is very important to people who don't even watch, don't even share their videos that are important. Belokhu bebhizi libhizi ngabo uchamisa wethani kunamsebenzi wonke lokuyana vele that's what happens. That the guys are stealing your money through currency manipulation. Okay, the US government at some point declared China a currency manipulator for China moving their currency from 6.001 to 6.002. That's what currency manipulation. If you want currency manipulation, to come to Harare. Yeah, China is going to likely move like this. The US government, China, currency manipulator. Bruh, that was nothing compared to what Harare is doing. The currency manipulation in Zimbabwe is up to there. Let me tell you something. You must ask yourself questions. Even talking about sanctions, Zimbabwe is not the only sanctioned country in the world. Russia is also under US sanctions. Do you know that? But the currency of Russia is not falling like the one in Zimbabwe. Russia is engaged in a war. Zimbabwe is not engaged in any physical war right now, so there's no expenses in the military. that are going to war. Like, I mean, we don't have war expenses that have got a direct impact on our inflation or economy. No, we don't have that. And the sanctions, the so-called Zedera sanctions, the targeted sanctions, the extent to their contribution to the damage is not as much as what we see on the ground. Because I'm saying that Russia is under sanctions, and Iran has been under sanctions for a long time. Many countries in the Middle East that are showing a middle finger to the United States are under sanctions of one way or the other. But their inflation rate is not as ours. Their currency is not depreciating as ours. My point is that our currency depreciates because it's a deliberate assault on the economy by the very ruling elite of Zimbabwe. And if people were to spend more focus on study and in-depth knowledge, attaining in-depth knowledge on how currencies work and how inflation works, how the economy works, you will be enraged, you will be angry as Zimbabweans. But if I speak about it, because in Nigerian, you are not sport yet. Because I feel like some people in Zimbabwe, they've got their political sports. Okay. Even in the opposition, we've got the Zanu there, we've got the opposition there, they've got their people. And these are our Chamisa, our reporter Chinono, our Dondon. When I come and tell you things that are of value, really, I'm not boasting, but I think that my channel offers some of the most important information that Zimbabweans need to hear. Yet Zimbabweans don't, they disregard this channel, they even disregard me. Even if I speak the things that come from God Jehovah Himself, you don't discard, you don't regard it as anything of value. Because I've realized when the people when they've got their own sports and politics, the politics is not even real. It's like a sport. That's why I don't support Triple C, because they've put themselves in this place where to them they are doing politics for merit, for like there is a space that I have to hold as a political commentator or politician. Even the political commentators who've got YouTube channels, they have resigned to a place where a position whereby my position is to be an opposition commentator, always against Zanu and always for Chamisa. And that's it. It's not even a revolution. There's no fight in there. It's a position just so that I can get views and make money from YouTube. You see, some of us we don't do this thing for get money from YouTube. No, I don't. I mean, my views. That's not even the reason why I've got a YouTube channel. It's because God asked me to do this thing. But I am surprised that the people of God that I'm sent to talk to deliver His message to don't even give a damn about Him, the God. God watch you. Nobody cares about Him. But it's interesting. So you see that because of that, the guys that have got the position that to be listened to, like Opol Chinono, and who else do you people listen to, and the other channels that people listen to, they don't talk about the things that I talk about. They don't. They don't. But these are the most important things, which sometimes it gets me angry or frustrated at these Zimbabweans journalists that they are so comfortable in this position of we are opposing. It's the same thing with Chamisa. He is comfortable in being the opposition leader. He likes that, like that. He doesn't even see himself as anything, not even as president of Zimbabwe. Have you ever seen Chamisa talking about the issues? Even the issues that I talk about, have you ever heard Chamisa talk about them? No. He's always talking about the election violence, the rigging, the same story that we know. He's so comfortable in there together with the lawyers around him. They are all comfortable in that, with that discourse. And ZANU PF is comfortable on what it says. It seems like everybody in Zimbabwe is comfortable with where they are. Even the suffering Zimbabweans are comfortable in South Africa. They are fighting for ZEP payment extensions. Until when? Okay. The ANC is comfortable with Zimbabweans in South Africa so that they can carry on looting with ZANU PF. Zimbabweans are comfortable going to UK and the United States and being a second class citizen and doing manual labor jobs and not fixing their country. It seems like everybody is comfortable with the status quo. Now, right now, it is going to win the elections, whether by rigging or by whatever. But one thing I can guarantee you is that where even if people were going to protest or whatever, they're going to complain for a couple of hours. That complaint is going to die down. We'll go back to normal. Everybody going back to opposition. Like, watch Twitter space. I sometimes go to Zimbabwean Twitter spaces. Do you know what they all do? Is complaining every day, every single day of the week, of the month, of the year. After the election, they'll be doing the same thing, complaining. They have resigned themselves to the position of being complainers. They are complacent. Okay, it's deep seated, deep rooted complacency within the infrastructure of the Zimbabwean community, starting from Idi Mnangagwa, ZANU PF, Triple C, MDC, their supporters, and the people that are suffering. Everybody is the suffering people are at a place now where they believe that there can be no change in Zimbabwe. So they've resigned themselves to their suffering, and they're like, okay, perhaps that's the reason why you guys don't believe me. You don't believe that God sent me to lead Zimbabwe. I don't believe that. You don't even believe that God speaks to me, because the things that I speak about, the things that are coming from the mind of God, are transformative things, and things that call people into action. And nobody wants to come to action. Nobody. People want it gone. Ngomlomo, by wish. It's just wishful thinking. Okay. All Zimbabweans, they wish it must go. But there's nobody who's like, okay, I raise their hand and say, count me in. Let's remove this president. No. They have all resigned. There's a great resignation in Zimbabwe to that status quo. Everybody's resigned, including ED. He has resigned within Tini president. I am sure ED, I think he wakes up in the morning and says to himself, I am ED. I don't even have much power over these people. Yet nobody seems to come to remove me from power. Even the VP is like, I'm Chiwenga. I can be removed by any small boy who decides to do it. But how come nobody is doing it? Gati gare pachikara. Nobody is challenging. There is an election 2 weeks from now. Who is challenging Chinese? Who is challenging it? Chinese? Chinese are wenu. amazimbabwe kodwa hayi ndiyandihlekisa bangani bam, hayi ndiyandihlekisa. Uchamisa wena lo ngeli mthembile. God, God. Ucha yiku-opposa khona lokho likwenzayo. Ngiyabuza na opposition. I'm not triple C member. I will never join triple C because kuyadlalwa lapha. Kuyadlalwa. Mina vele ngajoyina i-triple C ngizonda lonke u-triple C. Lonke from secretary general to Ntontoni, because awusuke kulalwe. Kuyabe kusetshenzwe ekuseni kuze kwesebusuku. Abathakathi beflya phezulu, thina sabe siflya nala eceleni lapho sisiya ku-campaign. Akula nto yenzakalayo kwi-triple C. Utshela ukuthi yiyo i-campaign le triple C is all the best that we have against it. Is what we have here. This triple C. Hayi madoda liyadlala. Liyadlala lale lilo liyadlala qha finish it. The country is very relaxed. I've never seen such a relaxed, oppressed people like the Zimbabweans. So oppressed, yet the most relaxed. Do you know that our country is number last in the world out of many matrices? When they rank countries on best in what, Zimbabwe is usually the last or second from last or third from last. It's known everywhere. And if you're like me who watches or who reads white, I read white. Things that are written by people in other different countries, or listen to people that are from different countries talking about different things. Most of the times, I will hear them when they talk about other countries. They will reference Zimbabwe. The Zimbabwe always being the example of the West, of whatever it is that they're talking about. Whatever it is that they're talking about the West countries, heavily indebted countries, they'll be Zimbabwe. Highest inflation, they talk about Zimbabwe. West this, West doing business in Zimbabwe. This everything West, everything West. They will speak Zimbabwe. Everybody knows Zimbabwe around the world because of that. Yet if you come to the Zimbabweans, the way that they are so relaxed, they feel like I guess go right. I do not know. I'm not God. I do not know what God is going to do. I think God. I do believe the Lord is going to do something for Zimbabwe, but I don't know how He's going to do it because for God to do something, He needs partners. He needs human partnerships. But if those human beings themselves really because failing, let me close my video. I will keep on making videos. I'll tell you why. I came to a conclusion as to why. Okay, I will not say it. Somebody in my spirit tells me that I must not say that reason. I was gonna tell you, but then God says I must not go there. Let me leave you there. Have a great day. See you later.